Hi everyone, I'm Tang Tang from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a design. The Blossom Shoulder Bag from Animism series. This bag is made up of several parts, the main part, the drawstring, the tulip, and the strap. We'll start by crocheting the main part and the drawstring. Once they're done, we'll attach the drawstring to the main piece. Then we'll crochet the tulip and assemble it. Finally, we'll crochet the strap and attach it to the bag opening. Let's start with the main part. We'll begin with a chain stitch. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The stitch techniques used are double crochet, chain, and slip stitch. Please watch the demonstration. First, make a starting chain. Because this product is crocheted with variegated yarn. Variegated yarn actually has multiple color sections. The starting position's color varies, and the finished product's appearance will be different. You can refer to the finished product, or choose based on your own preference. Select the corresponding color section of the variegated yarn to start crocheting. Also, because the yarn material is somewhat special, it's not easy to undo. It's recommended to first use leftover yarn from home, to practice the crochet technique. Once you're familiar with it, use the original yarn to crochet. To make it easier to watch, I'll demonstrate using cotton yarn here. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color scheme and hook size, please refer to the product detail page and paper instructions. Take the yarn. First work the corresponding number of chain stitches. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Make the chain stitches slightly loose, to make it easier to insert the hook for the first round. I'm using fewer chains here, just to demonstrate the method. After completing the chain, move on to crochet the first round. Work 3 chains as the beginning chain, which doesn't count as one stitch. On the 4th chain from the end, pick up 1 strand on the top of the chain and work 3 double crochets. After completing, start from the left side chain. Pick up 1 strand on the top of the chain. Work 1 double crochet in each stitch. Keep crocheting until there's only 1 stitch left on the left side. After completing, work 7 double crochets in the last chain stitch. Rotate the piece as you crochet. Then move to the other side of the chain. Pick up the remaining 2 strands and continue crocheting. That is the insertion point for the double crochet on this side. Be mindful not to insert into the same insertion point of these 7 double crochets. Work 1 double crochet in each stitch. Keep crocheting until there's only 1 chain left on the left side. Work 4 double crochets starting from the insertion point of the first 3 double crochets. Finally, pick up the stitch of the first double crochet. That is, hook a slip stitch through these 2 strands to connect. The joining slip stitch does not count as a stitch, slightly tighten it. To avoid adding extra stitches later, this completes the first round. We will consider the side facing us as the right side of the fabric. The other side is the wrong side. You can pick any strands on this side to mark. Trim off the excess yarn tail from casting on. Now we'll crochet the second round. Work 3 chains as beginning chain. It doesn't count as one stitch. Insert hook into the slip stitch insertion point of the previous round, and work 1 double crochet. Starting from the left side, pick the double crochet stitches, and work even with double crochets. Continue all the way down this round. At the end, pick the stitch of the first double crochet, and join with a slip stitch. This completes the second round. The following rounds will be worked in the same way as the second round. Simply pick the stitches of the previous round, and work even with double crochets. Each round starts with a turning chain, which doesn't count as one stitch. Finish each round by joining with a slip stitch to the first double crochet. Follow the pattern chart until completing all remaining rounds, or work until reaching the desired height. The number of rounds can be adjusted. After finishing the final round, secure with a chain stitch. Leave a 10 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Thread the needle. And weave the tail end into the wrong side of the fabric. That's how to crochet the main part of the bag. Next, let's learn how to crochet the drawstring. Attach it to the main piece after completion. Thread a bead onto each end and secure. Please watch the demonstration. The drawstring is made by crocheting chain stitches directly. Follow the chart to reach the required length. Once one drawstring is done, you can leave the yarn attached without cutting it off first. Pull a large loop to prevent the loop from slipping off. Thread the starting side into a sewing needle. Take out the bag. Fold it in half along the starting chain line. Find the 8th round from the top. Or about 6 centimeters below the opening of the bag. Secure the drawstring to this round. Insert the needle from either the left or right side of the folded edge. In my case, I'll insert it from the left side of the folded edge. Let me demonstrate this technique using this small sample. The number of rounds isn't for reference. Seven double crochets away from the folded edge. Insert between the double crochets. Then skip 9 stitches before exiting. Skip another 9 stitches and insert again. Follow this method. Keep going until reaching the left folded edge. Next, skip about 15 stitches and insert the needle. Remember, the turning chain does not count as a stitch? Afterward, continue inserting and exiting by skipping 9 stitches each time. When you're close to the ending position, slightly smooth it out to make it flat. Check if the drawstring length fits properly. If not, work a few more stitches. Once it fits, cut the yarn to finish. Take one bead. Thread both ends of the drawstring through the bead together. Leave about 1-2 centimeters at the end for tying a knot and securing it. Reserve a little yarn tail. Trim any excess yarn tails. This completes the installation of one drawstring. For the other drawstring, insert it from the opposite side of the bead. Install it along the same path where the previous drawstring went in and out. Once installed, pull the drawstring like this. And it will gather the opening of the bag shut. That's all for the drawstring tutorial. Next we'll learn how to make a tulip. Starting with the blossom, the leaves and the stem. Make them in order. Please watch the demonstration. Let's start with the blossom. Get your yarn ready. Begin with an adjustable magic ring. Once completed, make one beginning chain as the turning chain for single crochet. The turning chain does not count as a stitch, then work 5 single crochets into the magic ring loop. Then pull tight the starting yarn tail. Tighten the center of the work. Then pick the first single crochet stitch to make a slip stitch join. You can count backward from the end. To find the first stitch, this completes the first round. Now we'll crochet the second round. Make one beginning chain. Into the same place of the slip stitch from the previous round, make one SC2 in 1. A SC2 in 1 means working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Keep the starting yarn tail over the hook, and crochet while hiding it. This completes the SC2 in 1. Then make a SC2 in 1 in every stitch. Continue crocheting all the way around. Finish with a slip stitch join. This completes the second round. Compared to the first round, 5 stitches have been added. Next, we'll crochet the third round. Make 1 beginning chain. Refer to the chart. First crochet 1 single crochet. Make 1 SC2 in 1 in the left stitch. Then repeat the stitch pattern of these 2 stitches. Continue crocheting all the way around following the chart. Finish with a slip stitch join. You'll notice 5 more stitches have been added compared to the second round. This completes the third round. For the next 3 rounds, each round increases by 5 stitches. Just follow the chart as you crochet. After completing the 6th round, starting from the 7th round, pick up the stitches from the previous round, and work even with single crochets. Continue crocheting according to the chart until finishing the remaining rounds of the flower. Leave a 50 cm yarn tail at the end for sewing. This completes 1 flower. Follow the chart to crochet the remaining flowers. Now let's crochet the leaves. Get the yarn. Start with a chain cast on. I'm using fewer cast on stitches here, just demonstrating the method. After completing the cast on, move on to the first round. Make 1 beginning chain. Start from the second to last stitch. Pick up 1 strand on the top of the chain, and work 3 single crochets in order. Three half double crochets. 3 double crochets. 4 corresponding number of treble crochets. The way to work a treble crochet is to yarn over the hook twice. Insert into 1 strand on the left side of the chain above. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over again, and pull through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat 3 times. This completes 1 treble crochet stitch. Continue working treble crochets in order. I'm using fewer treble crochets here, just demonstrating the method. When completed, the next stitch is a TR2 in 1, which means working 2 treble crochets in the same position. This completes 1 TR2 in 1. Then work 1 treble crochet in order. One TR2 in 1. and treble crochets matching the required amount. Keep working until there are 10 chain stitches left. I'm using fewer treble crochets here, just demonstrating the method. When completed, work 3 double crochets in order. Three half double crochets. 4 single crochets. 1 chain stitch. Rotate the piece. Pick up the other 2 strands of the chain, which is the insertion position for the stitches on this side. Work the symmetrical stitch on the right side of this chain. Everyone follow the chart to finish this round. Finally, join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. The first round is complete. Move on to the second round. Make 1 beginning chain. This round is worked by picking up the stitches from the previous round evenly with single crochets. When reaching the chain at the top, simply pick up the entire chain, and work 1 single crochet into it. Finally, join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. The second round is complete. Leave a yarn tail of about 40 cm at the end for sewing. That's the end of the crochet method for 1 leaf. Follow the chart to crochet the remaining number of leaves. Now let's talk about the flower stem. The flower stem is made by crocheting chains directly. There's no specific length required. Just make sure the flower sits above the drawstring, and the flowers are roughly aligned in a straight line. As for the length of the flower stem, you can decide based on your own preference. A longer flower stem will be covered by the leaves, so it won't even be visible. Once 1 flower stem is crocheted, thread one end into a sewing needle. Insert it through the center of the first round of the flower. Hide the yarn tail inside the flower. The extra yarn can also be placed inside the flower. Then stuff some scrap yarn ends into the flower. If you have fiberfill at home, you can fluff it up before stuffing it in. Thread the reserved yarn of the flower into the needle. Pinch flat the last round of the flower. Position the slip stitch mark at the center. Insert the needle through the center position on the opposite side, sew back and forth for a few stitches. Then pick the center of the side edge, and sew a few stitches. Finally tie off and weave in the ends neatly. If there's still extra yarn, attach the flower to the main piece. Place the side with the slip stitch mark close to the main piece. If there isn't enough leftover yarn, use another thread to secure it. I'll demonstrate the sewing method on the other side. When attaching flowers, everyone should just secure one side. Avoid sewing into the drawstring when securing. Pick up a few threads on the surface of the main piece and sew it together with the flower. Once it's secured, tie off and weave in the ends. Everyone should weave in a few extra stitches. Next, attach the flower stem to the bag. Take another piece of yarn. Or use the leftover yarn from the beginning if available. You can also use the starting yarn to sew. When sewing, simply pick up one thread from the chain stitch and sew it with any few threads on the surface of the main piece. Sew a bit slower as you work. Keep sewing until you reach the ending position. That's how you sew on the flower stems. Be mindful not to sew into the drawstring while attaching. Everyone makes sure all flowers and stems are securely attached. Next, let's talk about how to secure the leaves. Place the leaves in your preferred arrangement. Then thread the reserved yarn into the sewing needle. If you're sewing the leaves with crossing stitches, just take the top leaf and sew it on top of the bottom one. Let me demonstrate the sewing method with a sample. My positioning here is just for show, only demonstrating the technique. Pick up a few threads from the surface of the main bag body. And sew them with a few threads from the backside of the leaf. Pay attention to follow along the marked line from the starting chain while sewing. The left and right sides don't need to be sewn. Follow this method to sew on all the leaves. After sewing, finally tie off and weave in the ends. That's all for the leaf sewing technique. Next we'll learn how to make the strap. Start with a chain stitch. Work back and forth. Then crochet around the edge in rounds. Finally attach it to the bag opening position. Please watch the demonstration. Take the yarn. Leave a 30 cm tail at the beginning. Start with 7 chain stitches. After casting on is complete, move on to crochet row 1. Work 3 chains as beginning chain, which counts as 1 double crochet stitch. Then go to the 7th stitch from the end. Pick up 1 strand on the top of the chain and crochet 2 double crochets. One chain stitch. Crochet 2 more double crochets in the same position. Then crochet 1 double crochet in the last chain stitch. This completes row 1. Move on to crochet row 2. Work 3 chains as beginning chain, which counts as 1 double crochet stitch. Turn the work. These 3 chains correspond to the last double crochet of the previous row. Pick up the chain space between the double crochets on the left side, and crochet 2 double crochets. 1 chain stitch, 2 double crochets. Crochet in the same position. Once completed, pick up 2 strands of the third chain stitch from the previous row's turning chain. Crochet 1 double crochet. This completes row 2. Continue to crochet row 3. The crochet method for this row is the same as row 2. Work 3 chains as beginning chain, then turn the work. Pick up the chain space between the double crochets on the left side, and crochet 2 double crochets. 1 chain stitch, 2 double crochets. Once completed, pick up the turning chain from the previous row, crochet 1 double crochet into the 2 strands of the third chain stitch. This completes row 3. Following rows. Everyone follow the demonstration of row 3. Refer to the chart and crochet all the remaining rows. Once completed, don't cut the yarn. Next, we'll crochet the edging. Make 1 chain stitch as beginning chain. Turn the work, pick up each stitch from the previous row, and crochet single crochets in sequence. When you encounter a chain stitch, pick up the entire chain stitch and crochet into it. Once completed, rotate the piece, pick up each row edge on the left side and crochet single crochets. There's no requirement for the number of single crochets, just keep the fabric flat. Next, when you reach the starting point, pick up the starting stitches one by one and crochet a single crochet in each. You can also crochet into the chain space. Once completed, rotate the piece. Pick up each row edge along the side and crochet single crochets. The number of single crochets should match the number of edge stitches on this side. Finish with a slip stitch join. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail at the end for sewing. That's how one strap is done. Everyone make another one. Once completed, thread the reserved yarn into a yarn needle. Sew it inside the bag. At the position of the last 2 rounds. About 7-8 cm away from the folded edge. When sewing, be mindful not to show the stitches on the front side. And make sure the front side of the strap faces outward. For extra security, you can sew a few stitches along the side seam. Once one side is sewn on, tie off and weave in the ends neatly. After one end is secured, sew on the other end. Make sure the strap doesn't twist. Once one side of the strap is attached, sew the other side. That concludes the explanation of the strap. Up to this point, the entire product has been fully explained. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.